Hey, how's it going? It's Chris, Mr. Moneyfingers Haddad. And as you may or may not know, my whole shtick is that I teach people how to use emotion and stories much more powerfully in your copy so you can get dramatically higher conversions and make a lot more money, whether you're a copywriter, a media buyer, an offer owner, or just some random person on the street who wants to learn how to persuade people with magical fingers and words. What I want to talk to you about today, though, is success and failure and what it really takes to get to that next level, what it really takes to become great as a copywriter and make tremendous amounts of money doing it. See, the thing about being well-known and successful in a business like this is that people kind of think you've always been successful. People actually tend to think that if you have any money in the bank, you don't have any problems at all. And I can tell you, personally, money is great. It helps a lot. It solves a lot of problems not having money creates, but it doesn't change anything or everything about who you are. People say to me sometimes, they're like, well, Chris, you've been a big deal in copywriting world for almost 20 years now. You've always been good at this, right? The fact is that couldn't be any further from the truth. When I was a kid, I had no self-esteem at all. When I graduated from college, I actually moved out to Los Angeles. I thought I was going to become a television and film writer or something. My father had just died of cancer and a heart attack a few years before. I had no idea what I was doing with myself. The first, up until I was like 26 years old or so, I never made more than $30,000 in a year. I got fired from every single job I had, including temp gigs where I was doing filing and scanning things at a reinsurance company and all sorts of random crap that I did. And even when I got those temp jobs, I could never hold any of them down. I was fundamentally unemployable, quite literally getting fired from every single job I had because I could not concentrate. And I tended to have a problem where I would tell my bosses what I really thought of them. It wasn't until I was 25, 26 or so, I actually got fired from writing my job writing greeting cards for a living. And afterwards, I was devastated. Yet another job that had slipped through my fingers, this one for only $25,000 a year. And I couldn't keep that either, while my big brother, Ken, was in New York City working in finance, making an easy 6 figures and having no problem with it at all. So I found myself crying in my car after I got fired. I went to see a career counselor, and she said to me, Chris, what's your biggest dream? Where can you see yourself in 5 years? And I said, if I can just make $45,000 a year as a writer, I will be happy. I didn't even know anything about copywriting at that point in my life. She introduced me to it. And I went off from there and didn't get into direct response copywriting. I got into more generic kind of brand copywriting for several years, which is one of my biggest regrets in my marketing career. I could have moved on to direct response 3 years earlier than I did, but I let my own prejudices get in the way of doing that. I remember I went through the AWAI course and I was so annoyed they didn't think that I was a genius in what I turned into them, that I thought it was all crap. And I also thought, hey, who the heck reads those long sales letters? Who the heck watches these long videos? Nobody, right? And that belief, that prejudice against marketing is what held me back for so many years. Anyway, after I spent 3 years writing scripts from Microsoft about the launch of their newest version of Windows, or writing brochures for, Washington Mutual Bank, which now isn't even a bank. It got closed quite a few years ago. I eventually kind of got sucked into direct marketing world when I went to a small conference in Las Vegas run by my friend Harlan Kilstein called Value-Based Copywriting. And while Harlan himself did not teach me a lot about how to write copy, what he did teach me was how to make a lot of money as a copywriter, how to negotiate as a copywriter, how to get out there and put your name out there. He actually told me at one point to go to Big Seminar 5 in Atlanta, my first ever conference, and he said, well, just put your business card on every single seat there. And so I did. And then a few minutes later, the head of that particular conference got up on stage and said, whoever did that, never do that again. But on the upside, I got a couple of jobs out of it. Anyway, from there, my career kind of started to slowly pick up. I worked for Jeff Paul. I worked for Jeff Walker. I worked for just many people named Jeff and a few who weren't. And slowly saw the success start to come to me. Because here's the deal. I did not believe in myself. I had the imposter complex just like anybody else. In fact, I still have the imposter complex just like anybody else, just like you do as well. But the cool thing was marketing doesn't care about your self-esteem. Marketing doesn't care. Copywriting doesn't care about your grades. It doesn't care about your race. It doesn't care about your sex. It doesn't care about how old you are. All that marketing and copywriting cares about is whether your stuff can convert or not. And that's what I really love about it. That's what I think is the most amazing, wonderful thing about this entire business. My mom at one point came to me and she said, Chris, why are there pictures of you on Facebook wearing tights and, with your chest hair out and all those other things? Don't you think you need to be more professional than that? And I always said, no, this is not a business about professionalism. It is a business about getting results. And if you want to get to that next level, it's not about believing in yourself. It's about getting good enough that they can't deny you, which is what I hopefully want to be teaching you. Anyway, I hope this was interesting to you. Just a little bit of an aside where you talk about my own experience. It's so easy to look up to the people that are trying to teach you things and think it's easy for them or they were always successful. And that wasn't true at all. I actually really wish I could go back in time and talk to 25-year-old me and explain where he was going to go in his career. He would have been shocked by the mustache, that is for sure, but also by the success, by the money I've been able to make, by the people I've been able to help in my career, and hoping I get to help you as well in the future. Bye-bye.